You can see the visual identity of a brand, but its key message is the thing that's the most important. Like, you can see the visuals all day long, but the thing about it is like, what's the motivation and what's the why behind that specific thing? Jeez, where do I start? For me, my graphic design journey didn't necessarily start with me choosing graphic design. It really started when I was like a little, around the ages of like, really when I was in elementary school. Because as far as I can remember, I was always interested in just bold and colorful stuff. Like whether it was book covers, whether it was drawing, whether it was arts and crafts, whether it was the shows that I would watch. But to me, that was really the base of it. Because at the time, I didn't really think much of it because I was sitting there thinking, oh, well, this color is prettier, this text is a little interesting. I don't really know what it is, but there's just something about it that, my eye just catches on to and is interesting. All of these things kind of caused me to gravitate towards graphic design without even realizing it. And then what makes it, better was like, in between the ages of when I was like 5 to 8 years old, I was sexually abused as a kid. So at that time, I was using all of these things that I was interested in, like even cooking, like all the things that I consumed became a bit of a safe space for me. So for me, media or just art as a whole wasn't necessarily just an interest, but it was also a form of escape for me. I was still drawing anime, like anime characters and stuff like that, but I began being more interested in what graphic design actually was. So there was like this assignment when I was in the ninth grade, and I think this class was in the library to be exact. And for the assignment, we were told to do an autobiography on our lives or whatever. And that's a little weird because all of us are like teenagers. Um, we don't really know that much about our lives. Well, it depends on the type of person that you are, the life that you've had. But some of us didn't really have a lot of stuff going on. I don't know, something within me just felt at peace. Playing around in Photoshop, like tinkering around with the different fonts and the different colors and the different gradients. And then, me playing with that in the ninth grade turned into me doing more of that in the 10th grade. And then it got to a point where I started a club for, that me and my friends ran, calling it Anime Arts Video Games and Poetry Club. So I believe, and I started that like in the 11th grade where I was making PowerPoints. And like I was making PowerPoints every single meeting, there were weekly meetings, mind you. So I believe it was like on October 22nd of 2013, my desktop publishing teacher pretty much asked us in a prompt, like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And to write to yourself, like a little bit of like a letter, you know what I mean? And I had wrote in this letter that 10 years from now, I would be majoring, I would major in graphic design, and 10 years from now, I saw myself working in graphic design, which was kind of crazy because I couldn't really see myself having a future like at all. I struggled really bad with my self-esteem to the point where if somebody was to ask me at that time, where do you see yourself in 10 years or where do you see yourself in maybe 2 or 3 years, I couldn't even tell you the answer because I didn't really see myself making it past that point, if I'm being completely and totally honest. So, I was just sitting and just typing something in front of the screen and I didn't even realize like how special that was. So then it gets to a point of where I graduate from high school and then I go to college and I'm pretty much in my own mind, I'm like, you know what? I want to be a video game designer. I want to design video games, yeah. But the actuality is I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And there were so many relatives and so many different people telling me, oh yeah, you're gonna make a lot of money and going into computer science or going into information technology. And when I was a sophomore in college at Hines Community College, it was like one day, I kid you not. So I was literally, at this time I was venting and I didn't really have like a close relationship with God like that. So I was venting and I was like, okay, I don't really know what I want to do with my life. You know, I'm here and I'm doing programming, but it just feels like something is missing. It feels like I'm not in the right place. I don't know where I'm going. So a couple of weeks passed, or a couple of days to weeks passed, and I'm walking past the library and it's hot outside. I'm talking like Kazooie Banjo Joe type hot. I'm talking Texas Pete hot. It's humid outside. And I'm walking and it was just like a random gust of wind just hits me like whoosh. And I literally have a whole bunch of flashbacks of all the stuff that I did as a kid with, you know, with making snowflakes and sketching and doing all this stuff and making PowerPoints and everything. I'm having real life flashbacks as I'm walking past the library, and then it just hits me. The thing I don't want to do, the thing that I really want to do is graphic design. It's not programming, it's not game design, it's graphic design the entire time. Right? So I decided to go ahead and change my major. And I was kind of nervous to tell somebody. I was kind of nervous to tell like some of my family members about my decision, because like they kind of were like, oh yeah, we're gonna, you know, Kim's gonna help us make a lot of money, do stuff like that. And when I changed my major, there were a good chunk of people that were very upset. Like I've never seen that many people be upset over a simple major change. Like some people were saying like that was pretty much like the dumbest decision you could have made, or the devil made you change your mind and stuff like that. But I'm gonna be honest with you, that was the first time that I've ever was not only content, but I was okay. I was okay with that decision. Like even though I didn't necessarily understand the uncertainties or whatever, I can't see the future, I absolutely was okay with the future of me doing that for the rest of my life. Like I was very content with that. So, you know, we transitioned into like 2018 when I pretty much like take the jump or the risk of moving to Wisconsin, like moving from Mississippi to Wisconsin. So at this time, I'm pretty much about to start school, but at the time, before I go ahead and move on campus, by day I was working at Walgreens. I think it was like on 67th in Hampton. I was working at that Walgreens for about like 8 or 9 months. So by day, I was working at Walgreens, and then by night, I was sleeping on the basement of I was literally sleeping on my aunt's basement. And I remember that vividly because every time I slept on that mattress, the mattress had a hole in it. And every day I would wake up, all the air would be out of the mattress and my back would be hurting because the floor was concrete. Around like July 28th of 2018, I had like the random urge, not even random urge, like it was just like a nudging to like start my own business, graphic design business to be exact. And I was just like, okay, I mean, that's cool, but I don't even have a name for it. So what sense does that make? So I used a lot of like name generators to kind of pick a name. And there was really weird names like Glitterberry, Sparkle, Design or something like that. I'm like, no, I don't really like that too much. So I was sitting and thinking. And then I kind of like went back to when I was younger, because my grandma gave me the nickname Chocolate Mocha, pretty much like pertaining to like my skin complexion or skin tone. Because like my grandmother, she was a very feisty lady. Like not only was she feisty, but at the same time, she stood firm. Like if she said something, she said it. She always stood on her tens, like no matter what. And I think as well, when she had something to say, she was gonna say it whether you liked it or not. And especially if you asked her for advice, she's definitely gonna tell you her thoughts. So a lot of her tenacity and a lot of her courage, even now, has helped me to stand firm. And I remembered all the love and I don't know, all the love that was like behind that. So I wanted to like do something to like dedicate it towards my grandmother who passed in 2015. So I decided to like name my business Cocoa Mocha, which is like a shortened variation of chocolate mocha, right? So, and at that time, my designs were terrible. They were terrible. I'm talking in the trenches, down bad, terrible. But at the same time, I don't know. Thinking about it makes me smile because I feel like, um, as a business owner, no matter what field or industry you're in, I think in order to be the best at what you do, sometimes you gotta struggle, you gotta grovel, and you gotta get better at what you do. So, geez. So next thing you know, I pretty much I started back school. So now I'm in my junior year of college and I'm juggling school and I'm juggling, all these jobs. So I completely throw the jobs to the side and I just like start focusing on school all over again. So, and then like here and there were moments when I experienced like tiny little incidences of racism, but I still didn't let that deter me from getting my classes done and I'm getting my degree. So then I started feeling a little homesick and there's a lot of like real weird, some weird stuff that went on. And as a result, I came right back to Mississippi. So next thing you know, I come back, I lock in, I go ahead and I graduate with my Bachelor's of Fine Arts in graphic design. And I start like gaining more experience and so on. And I think the greatest lesson that I've ever learned within 8 years of me freelancing for as long as I have, because like trust and believe, a lot of people think that jumping into graphic design, you're gonna instantly make money. That's not the case. Especially when freelancing, I think a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that to be a freelance graphic designer means you have to be your own marketer, you have to be your own accountant, you have to be your own social media manager, you have to be your own everything, essentially. And knowing me, sometimes I'm very inconsistent, especially when sometimes I be having a lot of stuff going on. And on top of that, having to juggle a full-time or part-time job on top of other stuff becomes like very strenuous. But I think the thing that a lot of people really have to be honest about is not necessarily the instability that goes into freelancing, but also not even just with freelancing, just with any industry in general, is the reality that you have to grind. You have to grind no matter what. Like, yeah, you obviously have to rest, but at the same time, success sometimes is not an instant thing. It's not a microwave success. Like, you have to grow with time. You have to gain experience with time. Everything takes time. And it reminds me, and I know some people may not be religious or churchy, but it reminds me of Ecclesiastes 3, where it talks about, there being a time and a place for everything, and how, within the journey of life, you have to learn. There's going to be moments where you cry, where you laugh, where you're upset. There's a time for everything. And depending on whatever it is that you do in life, sometimes you'll have to pray and you'll have to like really use discernment and try to figure out, can I see myself doing this for a long time? And what truly is my why? Because I think something that I absolutely love even now that I like to think about, whether it's graphic design, whether it's creating graduation caps, whether it's doing content creating, or whatever the case may be. It's like I like to remind myself why I do what I do. And it kind of goes back to that e-journal that I wrote back in 2013, where I basically said that graphic design is taking your imagination and turning it into something cool. Because even as a kid, whenever, in order to cope with like certain things, I would daydream a lot. My imagination was always like everywhere. Like when I heard certain music, I would imagine certain designs and certain colors and stuff like that. So in a way, I'm taking all of the ideas and I'm praying and I'm crafting these things into reality. And I feel like at the end of the day, um, as I think something that I think not all business owners struggle with, but I feel like some people do struggle with, is sometimes we allow the wear and tears of the world or whatever we have going on. Sometimes we allow certain things to kill the joy in our lives, which in return kills the productivity of things that we really want to do. So we end up sacrificing a lot of our joy and a lot of our peace and a lot of our like quote unquote whimsy in order to accommodate to things that are draining us. And I think the biggest thief of joy as a business owner is not handling like your stress properly, like at all. Because I think throughout this entire journey, the most, I haven't said this a gajillion times, but the most beautiful thing about being a business owner, really just like creating things, is like the capability of like, or the challenge of really like putting yourself out there. Because that's something I struggled with really my entire life, to where so much has happened that sometimes, even now, sometimes I get nervous about putting certain things out there because I'm always worrying about what will happen or how it will be perceived or whatever the case may be. Like it's kind of like a bit of imposter syndrome. But a lot of people, I kind of wish that a lot of people, even me sometimes, would wrap their heads around is the sole fact that imposter syndrome is basically just nothing but self-sabotage. You made something with your own hands, or you created something, or God blessed you to create something, and it's there in the physical in your face or in the digital in your face. And you should definitely give yourself like more credit, you know, than you do. But I think even now, I don't know what will happen in the future if I'm being honest. But at the same time, I go into the future with the hope and the expectation that no matter what happens, I stay true to the journey and the growth of not only just being a business owner, but really just pushing myself out of my comfort zone in order to create things that not only benefit other people, but at the same time, that makes me happy as a creative. Yeah, it's like no matter what, you have to have a sturdy foundation. No matter if it's a business, if it's a channel, if it's a brand, just as a whole, there has to be, even a relationship, it has to have a sturdy foundation, right? You can't really build a house on sand. Now, I know there's some people that will try to build a house on sand. I wouldn't advise that, but it has to be a sturdy foundation. Because for me, I went into this business or Coco Loco. I went into it not understanding a lot of business essentials, but the foundation and the soul of what I wanted to do was like already there and rooted. So once I did my own research and I took a whole business class and everything when I was in college, then I started understanding more and more, and I was applying it to my business. So I think that's also like very important, is having to understand, the legal aspects of being a creative, or like being a business owner, and then also having that foundation, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, etc. And there's going to be moments in life where you absolutely struggle, don't get me wrong, but you still need a foundation at the end of the day. Just point blank period. But I think as a whole, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Because I think all along, I always knew that I couldn't see myself doing anything outside of art or just graphic design. Like, I think every time I get in front of a computer and I design something, whether it's a logo, a flyer, a poster, etc., I don't know, my heart just feels content. Because I think for me, this ain't just about making money, but at the same time, seeing, the thoughts and the opinions of anybody whose work that I've done makes me smile, because seeing the work and how it's applied to different communities and different spaces, I don't know, it just makes me feel warm and tingly inside. Because I remember it really started to hit me, I think like a few weeks ago, where I kind of sat and was like, for a real second, I'm like, oh, I'm a terrible designer. And then I sat and really thought about it. I'm like, no, I mean, that's subjective, but at the same time, I really did. I designed things that affected people in a positive way. And like, I don't know, to think about that is really cool. And all I can do is really thank God for that. Like, thank Jesus for that the most, because I feel like for me, just me personally, I think the beautiful thing about art, especially even as a digital format, art can be used not only to just express yourself, but it can also be used to help other people, or to help other people heal, or to help other people do things, whether it's within their communities or within their own personal lives.